let's jump to the first question. And we'll go first to Monturn, and we'll continue asking the question of first of the next person down. So this question is Mr. Turner, and 2 minutes to answer the question. Oh, let me mention one more thing. If any of you, during the course of tonight's forum, want to provide a rebuttal statement to anything someone else has said, you can choose one time to provide a 30-second rebuttal. So if there's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 questions, you can have one rebuttal of 30 seconds. If I don't see you, just yell at me and say, I want to exercise my rebuttal. Okay? So let's go to the first question. The first question is, Mr. Turner, with the continued challenges presented by the sluggish national economy, the county may have to make further cuts into its budget over the next year. Where do you feel these cuts should be made, and how should they be made? Where should they be made, and how should they be made?
Not a very fun question. If cuts have to be made, first of all, it would be it'd be nice to have the time to do a little research and check out all the departments, but not having that opportunity, I'll answer that question by just saying, first I would look at administrative travel and going to conventions and things like that. I would look at a cost to buildings and maybe cut down on the expensive lights and things like that. The administrative overhead vehicles, maybe we could share them. Maybe we wouldn't have to have vehicles that would be fancy with chrome wheels and big engines. So where I'm going with this is the last that we'd want to cut would be personnel. But if the budget required that we had to continue to cut, maybe I would try to instigate a volunteer removal or retirement if any was that, and we would try to get along that way. If it came down to the hardball, difficult, we would just have to look at those positions that were the least critical and then exercise them. Later, are you giving me time? Okay, less than 30 seconds. Where I was going with that is if we could, I would like to instigate other measures for revenue to maybe where we wouldn't cut, but my time is out, and we'll pass it to the next candidate.
Okay, the microphone is on. Okay, first of all, never cut vital services. Now, I've been on a budget as a city councilor at large, and we had a population of over 26,000 in Avon, Massachusetts, which is more than our total population here in the county. Whenever we looked at our budget, how to find ways to save taxpayer dollars, we don't cut vital services. In fact, that's why I did the tax reform in Massachusetts. Because everyone said, you'll have to cut vital services, you see, if you cut back on taxes. No, you don't. And 27 years in Massachusetts, the state has shown that by cutting back taxes, we didn't cut vital services, we cut waste. And I'm going to find that waste because that's what I'm good at doing as an investigative journalist. I want to do a line-by-line item budget. Day one, when I am elected on November 3rd, I want to go into the county building. I want to look through that budget. I want to meet with department heads. I want to find out where is there the waste. But I'm telling you this. If we adopt a good economic development plan and bring in more business, we shouldn't have to cut anything because business will expand our tax base. We don't have an economic economic development plan. That's our problem right now, and I will work on that day one when I get into office. And with the gas power plant, hey, they claim $2 million a year. We don't know for sure, but with that kind of money, you won't have to cut too much, would you?
I'll give you the chance to ask a good question if you'd like to. I would also have to take it on a per item basis. Like Mont said, I would probably start at the top of the administrative level and see if I could consolidate activities there and work down from there, but it would be on a per item agenda. It would be hard to do overall cuts on everything. I think possibly folks in administration could do multitasking and consolidate things that way. There was a community in Georgia years ago that, when things were worse than they are today, ended up cutting everything out of their local city budget except the police department. They found they could live without everything except the protection of the police. So I would probably not start there, but I would go elsewhere for cuts and do it that way. My business. The year after 9/11 happened, our business was cut 50% in volume, and we had to make a lot of cuts that way. And we lost personnel, including some of our family members, which is really hard to do. If that's necessary, then so be it. But I would try to consolidate things.
Well, it looks like we wouldn't have any more field trips. I think this is something that the county, the cities, the schools are definitely going to have to get together. We're going to have to pull from the north, from the middle, from the south, and to be able to cut budgets and cut services, I think, is critical. But I look at the services, and I'm thinking here in my mind, maybe instead of running the snow plows out as much as we in the winter, maybe we could cut some costs there. There might be some other things as we go along, but without looking at the budget and really understanding a lot of what's going on there, I do commend the commission. I know they cut the budget by 10% last year, and it's going to get tighter. And I know that that's something that whoever is the commissioner will definitely have to look at. I've been in the business side of things. I know how to find waste. You certainly can't have people sitting around doing anything, just sitting there doing nothing. But I would not want to cut the personnel first. I would try to cut some of the other things first and then work our way through. Thank you.
Actually, the process did begin last year, as Tudor mentioned. As we worked on our budgets last November and December, each department presented their budget to the commissioners. We looked at it, ran the numbers, and we sent it back to them and asked the departments where they could cut. It's much easier for them to know where they can cut than from three commissioners trying to tell them. They did it. They came back to us with 10% cuts in their budget, and with those cuts, we were able to balance the budget last year. More than likely, we'll be in that same situation this year. More cuts. I hope that cuts can be across the board, just like that, so that any particular service or operation of the county is not eliminated totally. We have looked very hard. We've cut personnel just by attrition. We try not to replace anyone that unless we absolutely had to. So there's some savings there. Yes, there are areas you can't cut very easily. We got to have public safety. We've got to have roads. The building has to be open. People have to come in and do the county business, work on properties and other things. It may get hard. It probably more than likely is going to get hard. So we have to look at anything that might be elective. There aren't very many of those, but that's where we may have to look. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, we start with Ms. Bonavita. What role,
Mason, please.
in how public lands are administered in this area.
We need to turn this off every time we set it back on there. Great. Okay, use of public lands. Listen, when I was raising my son, he was only 6 years old. He got very involved in motocross. Public land use, yes. I also am very concerned about the habitats, preserving our lands. But, you know, there's a group, oh, what's their name? The Ride for Respect group. I agree with them. They were formed to protect the land they use and to stay on the trails. They believe there's enough room out here for everyone. This is a direct quote. I agree with that. We can use the lands responsibly. We have ATVers here. We can do more with attracting people here. We have great trails. Public lands, there is enough space for everyone. Those who are concerned about the use of the land for recreation and preserving the land as well.
In managing the public lands, I would become best friends with the public lands management agencies, the Forest Service, and the BLM folks, and come to a consensus there. I am in favor of multiple use of public lands. I just returned last weekend from a rappelling trip down there. Robert Drews got skinned up pretty good, but I see a lot of folks in that environment that are against the cattle industry and the four-wheelers and things like that. But I'm also in favor of all that going on as well. I just bought a four-wheeler a couple of weeks ago, and heavily involved in that. I've always been an advocate for cattlemen, hunters, mining. We've got these resources. I think our actual resources around here are our greatest asset. It's nothing short of a miracle. We live in such an area with so many varied resources. And I'm completely in favor of using these resources wisely. And that's all I do.
Okay, I'm for multi-use of all of the resources. I mentioned that earlier. We do need to be stewards of the land. I feel that the forest, the BLM, county, federal land is like a garden, and we need to take care of it. And we need to use the resources that we have, and that's what they're for. I think that's what our resources are here. We're extracting oil out, we're extracting coal out. It's for our uses. I also feel that we have one of the greatest ATV trail systems, and we need to continue to work to keep those ATV trails open. We need to work with the state agencies, the federal agencies, and we need to continue to work together to make sure that these things are used to our benefit and be able to see that we all can enjoy the mountains and the things that we have here in this valley. Thank you.